name is Jannette Maedel. You might also know me as Scarlet Black. The topic of today's video is photographing artwork, and I'll be showing you some ways you can photograph artwork at your home or in your studio. Lighting is key to success, so after we tackle the lighting, I'll show you some camera settings and some basic photo editing. I'll be concentrating on photographing flat artworks, but the tips and techniques can also be used when photographing three-dimensional artwork. Fair warning, taking pictures of artwork is a bit technical, and setup is going to take the most time. I'm giving you options to follow along using either a camera phone or a digital camera. The biggest difference between the photographs produced from either of these is going to be the size or the resolution of the photograph. Benefits of photographing your artwork include being able to share it on social media, on your website, documenting your artwork, and also selling prints. For the materials you need your artwork, and make sure that it's not under glass, and we want to eliminate reflections. And you can see the artwork behind me under glass, and there's a lot of reflections. We don't want any of that. You also need a means to support your artwork, an easel, foam core and clips, and you can also adapt a chair with some books if you don't have an easel. You need the best camera you have, which is your phone camera or a digital camera. You need a camera tripod and computer editing software such as Microsoft Paint or Photoshop. And if you've got small artwork, you might consider scanning because it produces very accurate and fabulous results. Trouble is, if you don't have access to a scanner and your artwork is large, so then it can be more expensive. The next step in our art photography project is to position your artwork for taking pictures. Here I've adapted a chair and some books. You can also use an easel. You can position your artwork on the floor or on a wall, but everything has to be in relation to your even light source. We're moving on to lighting our artwork. I'm going to light this sketch of Wendy Mould using window light as my source of even lighting. Some other sources of even lighting include what's referred to as cave light, which is the kind of light you get in an open doorway. It can be an open doorway to your house or a garage. You can also use the shady side of a building. That's a great source of even lighting. Other sources of even lighting include using two lights, one balancing out the shadows of the other. And a scanner is also a great source of even light, which is why it does a wonderful job on reproducing an image of your artwork. Take time to find a source of even light in your home and studio. You're actually doing some high-end product photography, but with no budget and no special equipment. All right, I'm going to review the camera settings needed for this project. So if you're using a camera instead of your phone, put your camera on a tripod and you will have to dial in some manual settings. And those settings are, you want your ISO to be the best quality possible, between 1 and 200, depends on your camera model. F8, so everything is in focus. And then the third part of your exposure triangle is your shutter speed, and that will vary, depends on how much light you have on your artwork. So to review, you're going to need your camera set in manual, an ISO of 1 to 200, F8, and your shutter speed will depend on your lighting situation. You'll all be stable, set up on a tripod. You can also use a remote timer to even further stabilize your camera so that you get no camera shake. All right, I'm just going to demonstrate how to take a picture of artwork using your camera phone. So I've got Elizabeth Carefoot's artwork set up here. It's lit nice and evenly, and I've got my phone, and there's nothing mysterious. You take a picture just like you normally would, and I would usually be standing right in front of the artwork, but the video camera is there. So align your camera viewfinder, same angle as the artwork, to minimize distortion. Get as much of the artwork in your photo as you can to maximize resolution. And try to get the edges as straight as possible so that you don't have to do as much editing in post. So take a couple of pictures, even 4 or 5, and then choose the best one to edit. You can edit directly on your phone and you can crop and straighten there, or you can send the photo off to photo editing software such as Photoshop or an equivalent. So if you're wondering about some of the differences between photos taken with a phone camera and a digital camera, resolution is the biggest one. The other thing to remember about phone camera pictures is that the JPEG files from a phone already have a bit of extra sharpening and contrast added. So it's unlikely you need to do any more in those areas when you're doing your post-processing or editing. So when it comes to resolution, the picture I took on my phone of Elizabeth Carefoot's artwork here, I managed to get a file size of 2500 pixels square at 72 ppi, or 72 pixels per inch. Now if I wanted to print that photo, I would be able to print it at slightly larger than an 8x8 print. And that would be at 300 ppi, or 300 pixels per inch, which is the print standard. So when you're thinking about comparing the two, you're comparing ease and a bit of speed, just being able to dash off a phone camera image, versus the resolution and slightly improved image quality that you can get with a digital camera. So when choosing between the two, it depends on where the photo is going to end up. It depends on the equipment you have available. And it also depends on where you are on that learning curve when it comes to using a digital camera and manual settings. Once you have your camera set up and ready to take pictures, whether that's your phone camera or your digital camera set on manual settings, you're going to need to align your artwork in the viewfinder. I find it easiest to work on the edges first, getting them lined up in parallel, and then the top and bottom. You also need to match the angle of your camera to the angle of your artwork. If it's tilted on an easel, you'll have to also tilt your camera the same, so that you minimize distortion. You want to get as much artwork in the picture as possible to get the most resolution. Another thing that might affect the overall look of your artwork photography is the white balance. Auto white balance does a great job most of the time, but depending on your situation, you might have to adjust the white balance of your camera. So once you've taken your set of pictures, leave everything set up while you check on your photos in the computer. Typically, editing at the computer will involve things like straightening your photos, cropping. Sometimes you'll need to do minor color adjustments and maybe some sharpening. I often have the artwork sitting right next to me by the computer while I'm doing some editing, so that I stay as true as possible to the original artwork and I don't do too heavy a hand with the editing. Once you've done editing your photos, save 2 versions. Save one version so that you could edit it again in the future, and the second a JPEG version. Your JPEG version of the artwork is ready for uploading onto social media, onto your website, and it's also ready for printing. Thanks for staying with me through this video. The key to success is getting some nice, even lighting. The other ingredients are setup and processing. and they will take a bit of time and effort, but they're something that you can repeat again and again for success. Artwork photography is easiest with a phone, but you are going to get the best resolution results with a camera and manual settings. Thanks for staying with me through this video in the Art Together series sponsored by the Surrey Art Gallery. I'm going to leave you with the photographer's wish. May you all find the best light.